Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to Nothing Media, this deafening silence with Tim Cliss. We're having some technical difficulties. Tim is his computer rebooted, and it's going to be here in a couple of minutes. John actually is your host today. Welcome everyone. Hi, Victoria. So John, what is non-duality?
That's my answer.
We practiced this.
Agree with me, then?
We practiced this earlier.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
This
is a rehearsed answer.
Emerson, I left my script. And so I'm now having to...
this is the script.
This is the script.
This is the script, yeah. If you have any questions... Oh, sorry, go ahead. If you have any questions, please post it on YouTube, post it on the Zoom here. If you want to join the Zoom, there is a link in the YouTube page. You can also ask questions from Facebook. And yeah.
When you just listed all those things, Emerson, it made me realize that maybe I ought to have about 3 or 4 windows open, one for each app. Is that the case?
That's right, yes.
Wow.
There's Rajiv. And I think Tim is coming in soon because he's not in Messenger anymore. So how's everyone today? How are you, Rajiv? Rajiv, what is consciousness? This is your opportunity
to... It doesn't exist.
And he hid. He's the open secret.
This is exam time, folks.
That's right. That's right. I'll be handing out enlightenment certificates at the end of this meeting. So do you have any opening words, John?
No, I'm busily trying to find Nothing FM on all the other media outlets.
For people that are just joining in, you have joined this Deafening Silence with Tim Cliss. Tim is going to be in soon. He just had a problem with his computer. This is just what's happening as well.
Emerson, in order to follow this on YouTube, what should I'm trying Nothing FM Tim Cliss, but it doesn't seem to be doing the job.
Nothing Media on YouTube, okay. The Nothing Media channel. And then when you click on that one, you should have some questions that are going to be posted. And again, for people that are just joining us right now, Tim is going to be coming in soon. And then Krister asks, how come you're all inside Zoom? Krister, you can join us by clicking on the link above the chat. And you can join the Zoom party. Minor Stenson goes, Victoria Nagy is so beautiful. I agree. Ridiculously beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Bill has this look of what's going on. Tim should be coming soon. Bill, let me just call him. I'm just going to, I'm going to be here, but I'm just going to call Tim to see what's happening. Okay. Julie, what's going on? Oh, we're almost getting there. Tim is almost coming. He just had an unfortunate problem, not really a problem, but his computer rebooted, and that's just what's happening. If you have any questions, you can ask the questions either by Zoom Live. You can also ask questions via YouTube or Facebook, and John will read it for you. What's happening is just this, apparently waiting, smiling. Victoria Nagy becoming a celebrity now. And Rajiv and Bill and John. And then here we have Tim. All right, take it away, John.
Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning or good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is second Wednesday of the month, and so therefore we are in the company of Tim Cliss. I'm very honored to be your host this evening. If you have a question, the usual procedure is to put your hand up, and I will make a note of your name, and then when the time comes, call on you to unmute, and if possible, turn on your camera, and then engage with Tim. And I will be attempting to follow everybody on all the possible media. So I hope I'll be able to catch your questions. If you don't want to ask the question in person, feel free to write the question and I can read it out on your behalf, if that's more comfortable. So thank you very much, Tim. I think you have to unmute yourself. Can't hear you.
I'm terribly flustered.
So am I.
Yeah, thanks very much for John for stepping in. Just as I started the Zoom, my computer just updated, so it just shut down. Bloody things! So this is all planned just to prove, if you wanted evidence, that there is no knowing what will happen, why it's happening, how it's happening. Why the hell did that happen? no answers. Really, that's all. That is what we're speaking of. We're speaking of the unanswerable nature of life. And of course, me is the one who wants the answers. I want to know. I want to know what's going on, how and why it came to be that this is what's going on, and why it's going on. I want answers to all those questions, don't I? That's the nature of self. And all we're speaking of is, although self insists that they are necessary, it is necessary for me to know the answers to those questions. This message simply says it's completely unnecessary. It says more than that. It says that it's impossible. It's pointless. There is no benefit in all your knowledge, all your seeking, all your need to know. The only benefit is a false sense of security that it gives self in that, oh, now I'm secure in my knowledge. Life is simply unknowable, and yet it is all that can be known, all that is known, all that possibly could be known. And in that simplicity is an incredibly ordinary and yet uncompromising and wonderful peace and rest that self never knew. And the most ironic of all, of course, it is what many selves are seeking. You ask what a lot of selves want, and they want peace. And the search for peace, they go off, you go off, I go off in search of knowledge for peace, of peace. Well, it's simply that peace isn't in knowledge. Peace isn't in knowing or understanding. The peace is, life is simply as it is, including your search for peace and knowledge and understanding. Well, thanks for being patient and waiting. I feel a little less flustered now. I just get angry. I just want to smash all the machines like a Luddite. You probably need to be British to know what I'm talking about to be a Luddite, but all the machines, smash them all. You know, it's a love-hate relationship we have with machines, isn't it? Humans and machines, fucking things. And yet I adore them as well, you know. Machines and family, really. You know, you adore them, but God, they're annoying. Well, feel free to ask any questions, and I've kept that brief because I'm sort of finding a bit of composure. That might sound contradictory to what I've just been saying, but there we go. maybe I'll put a caveat on the peace thing that I was speaking about. The peace is all inclusive. So it includes all the anger, all the annoyance, all the getting pissed off. There's no exception. Because I was working so hard to get my computer back up and running, I haven't got a drink, so I'm just going to leave you for 30 seconds and get a drink. Cheers.
Tim, there's a question on YouTube from BP4722. Hi, Tim. Is there peace in Tim all the time, even in time of discomfort?
No. No, the peace that we're speaking of is not in or out. It's not in Tim, no. Really, I mean, if you're very honest about yourself, we talk about in and out. So what's in is mine and what's outside is not mine. Oh, apart from the things that I've claimed in the world as mine. But there really is no in or out. That's all illusory. That sounds mysterious, but it's really not. Because I say that and it sounds, ooh, mystical. It's not mystical. What we call experience, there's experiences inside that are Tim's, and there's experiences external, outside. That's not how it is. There is no, that is again a false division, a separation that doesn't really exist. Shall I close this blind? Anybody think I wasn't very prepared today? Oh, that's better, isn't it?
Well, better? There was a comment. There was a chat comment, Tim, saying that the light coming through your window makes a beautiful portrait before you closed it. So I don't know whether aesthetically that's a plus or a minus.
Well, I better open it again, have I? John, what do you think? Am I more beautiful with or without?
I think your face was a little bit more visible when it was open.
We're opening it again then. There we go. What was the question about inside again, John?
Yeah. Is there peace in Tim all the time, even in time of discomfort?
No. No, the peace, I mean, all of this is impossible to speak about. The peace probably is the most impossible. No, I'm going to categorize the words that are the hardest to speak about, with love at the top is an impossibility, and then peace underneath that. The peace that we're speaking of is just that everything is as it is. So anger is peace. Being angry. So the thing about saying in Tim, what self has done, or what self almost constantly, inevitably does, is make some feelings and emotions and behaviors positive and some negative, some desired and some rejected. And so annoyance, anger, sadness, grief are so often rejected. And so the only thing that's not at peace, the anger in itself is at peace. I'm not at peace with the anger. You could say I'm the violence. I reject life. Or I long for it. But then incredibly paradoxically, that's peace too. There aren't any exceptions. All of it, even the rejection. But peace, as I said, peace is a tricky word to use because it can sound okay. So it's always peaceful. The character, the human being called Tim, is always at peace. Well, yeah, it's just nonsense. What this message is speaking about is not some kind of state, some kind of permanence. All appearance is absolutely impermanent. Appearance constantly changing. Thought constantly changing. Feeling constantly changing. But all of that is empty, and emptiness cannot change. Emptiness is always empty. And all the feelings, the thoughts, the appearances, the sights, the sounds, they're all empty. And rationally, you can kind of rationalize this and say, oh, it's the emptiness that's the peace. But the emptiness is not separate from the thingness, the relative. This is the absolute. This is absolutely all of it. There's simply no more. You can wait forever. And you'll just be waiting for this. And the waiting is it too. You can hear life laughing. It's a silent laugh. A deafening silent laugh. Laughing at human beings and their insistence that there must be more. This can't be it. If there was ever the epitome of self, that would be it, wouldn't it? This can't, surely not. There must be more than this. No. It's so obvious. And we're not talking, so to come back to the peace question, another aspect of that might be that, so I'm always, I'm always at peace with what's happening. No, that's not, that is all irrelevant. All of appearance is irrelevant to what we're speaking of. The appearance is just as it is. And appearance always is disappearing as it appears. There is no gap between. The illusion of life is that there are some appearances that last a long time and some are instantaneous. They appear and they've gone. No, that's how there is no time between appearance and disappearance. And in that time, you can play the game of time just as you've always done. But it's not real. not in the absolute way that it always felt. And it really is time, my time, that gives life all its weight, its heaviness, its seriousness. I mean, I've only got a limited time here. This is a serious business. I've got shit to do. I've got dreams to fulfill. I've got hopes to make come true. You know, and that's a heavy load. Well, the great news, the terribly great news is you haven't. There is nothing to come true. It's terrible news for me, but it is wonderful news.
Tim, there was a question related, I think, to what you were saying before about, you know, discomfort and so on from Catherine Sue. It says, is that because there is no one to be for or against what is?
It's more in spite of, really, or regardless of, is a better way of looking at it. I mean, there is no one for or against, but if there is the appearance of resistance, pushing away, or longing and hoping and trying to attract, then that's just what's appearing. There is no better or worse. You could say there's just preferable. That's the best way. Oh yeah, I like that. I'll have some more of that, please. No, I don't want any of that. But that doesn't mean to say you're not getting it, does it? I mean, life couldn't give a shit about your desires. One of the most incredibly liberating aspects of this message is that it is the complete death, the annihilation of the fantasy, however it's been fantasized, that life is caring. And the life not caring, believe it or not, is the unconditional love. It's the absolute antithesis of what is very counterintuitive. You know, how can not caring be loving? Well, it is, because the caring means that I need that to happen in order for life to be okay, for me to be okay, for me to be okay with you, for me to be okay with life, in my relationship with life. Well, there is no life to have a relationship with, and there is no me to be in relationship with it. That's unconditional. You could, rather than unconditional, we could call it unrelational. Unrelational love. It's not in relation to anything. It's not in contrast. It's not in relation. Is there anything else, John?
Yeah. There's three questions from somebody on YouTube, STR82 stars. So he says, does Tim have, in his thoughts, feelings, reactions, answers, and actions, any more freedom than before his apparent awakening? Is Tim fully according to the script, as well as all of us? And but maybe just without the feeling of being the doer.
There's quite a lot there.
Shall I start again from the top?
Yeah, just give me a little bit. I can't do that.
Right. Does Tim have, in his thoughts, feelings, reactions, answers, and actions, any more freedom than before his apparent awakening?
No. No, because this isn't a freedom for me. This is freedom from me. There's no freedom for me. Looking for freedom for yourself is the imprisonment. What was the next bit?
Is Tim fully according to the script as well as all of us?
Was that script or scripture?
Script.
What does that mean, John?
To be according to the script. I don't know whether that's a metaphor for fully on top of things or not. I don't know.
No, I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, well, there's one more part, the third part, and maybe just without the feeling of being the doer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't talk about, the absence of the doer. I talk about, that it's always me, because me is simpler for me, because it's not about doer. I'm not just the doer. I'm the thinker. I'm the controller. I'm the manager. I'm the driver. I'm the lover. I'm the hater. I'm every label that I've ever given myself, all of those. And all of those remain, but there's no one who takes ownership of them. So there is no knowing the absence of the doer. Because I think if I recall my seeking, I was waiting until I knew my own absence. So I'll know when I'm not the doer, or I'll know when the I who is the doer is absent. However many ways I formulated those ideas. And there is some, I think this is really worth talking about, because I think this is what a lot of selves are waiting for. Because the only thing that I can say, the only way I can formulate whatever I'm calling this, awakening, enlightenment, liberation, whatever word I fancy being in my future, the future state that I'm hoping for, I can only imagine that I will be there to know it. And so I can only imagine knowing my own absence. But there is some, this is the shittest news of all, probably. There is absolutely no way of knowing the absence of the one who knows. There's nothing to know. You are nothing. You've always been nothing. There's nothing to see. There's nothing to know. That's the most wonderfully dreadful news. You're waiting to know something, and we're talking about nothing. So no, I didn't know. I don't know the absence of the doer.
Tim, there's another question. I'm not sure that this is a technical question for people from Nothing FM or a question for you.
Right.
It says, this is from Herman Zohir. He says, how do you become a member of Nothing? I think that must be a technical question, don't you?
Of Nothing FM.
Well, yeah, I imagine a member of that, because I don't think there's any, you can become a member of any other aspect of Nothing or No Thing.
Well,
so I think maybe I have to ask the...
The good news is Nothing has no members, of course.
Yeah, but don't tell Emerson that.
Oh, no, don't tell Emerson, no. But if you want to be a member of Nothing FM, just go to Nothing FM. Then there it is to join on every link, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say, if you have a question and you're on Zoom, please feel free to raise your hand or write the question in the chat, and we will come to it in order. And the same goes for YouTube and Facebook. We've got a few more questions on Facebook, Tim. One from Martha Zielka. Hi, Tim. Can there appear so-called bad intentions in the appearance of Tim?
Yes, of course, but the whole well, yes and no, because yeah, any intention just appears like any other thought, because what we're calling intention is just another thought, isn't it? I'm thinking about future, and okay, that's what it appears as a thought. I intend to do that. The tricky bit is the good and bad intention. So yes, according to conditioning, what I've been conditioned to think of as bad, because conditioning applies. There is no good and bad, but good and bad is according to your conditioning. And it's what human beings argue about more than anything, really, isn't it? What is good and bad? So an intention appears from nowhere. I could label it as good and bad. Tend not to, not in the way I used to. But the conditioning, the sense of, it's more like it's interesting, you know. I'm not that evil. I might appear like I am, but I'm not that evil. So I don't have that many dreadful thoughts. But it depends what you mean by bad. And again, of course, that's so absolutely subjective. Each human being has their own level of good and badness. But essentially, I mean, it's all seen as light now. So what I would have called bad and thought, oh, I've had that thought, I've had a really bad intention there. And then I would ruminate over it. So they'll be thinking about the thought, about the intention. Now it's more amusement that, yeah, of course, all human beings have what are called bad. And bad usually means that your mum and dad would disapprove of. That's really all bad means, actually, if you think about it. I've had a thought, oh, mum wouldn't like that. I won't tell her that one. But, but yeah. There is something wonderful about this, that the one who judges thoughts and intentions as good or bad, negative and positive, because they're afraid for their own welfare, bad, I'll be rejected, bad, my parents won't like it, my family won't like it, my friends won't like it, they'll think badly of me. You know, this self-consciousness. Freedom from that is one of the reasons why you might call what we're speaking about liberation, because that is a curse. There's these naturally occurring thoughts about desire, and then we label them as bad because we were conditioned to do so. There is no good and bad until you say so. You're the judge, the jury, and the executioner, and the jailer. No one else. I am that judgment.
There's another comment, Tim, from Alex.
Yeah.
He says, life made a form for its consciousness, and that's the body. By saying I am not the body, you are basically denying your existence. Is that not so?
No, not at all. I'm not denying the body. Whoever said that? This is about the absence of the one who could accept or reject anything. So the body is exactly as it is, fully in all its glory and its misery and its love and its joy. Every aspect of being human. This is not a rejection of anything. This doesn't reject anything apart from the illusion that you've called yourself. That's it. Everything else is exactly as it is. You couldn't get further from the truth of this message than to say it's a rejection of the body. It's just simply saying that the body that you've taken to be yours, you never owned. It's not your body. It's completely free. So this is freedom for the body. It's freedom for thought. It's freedom for emotion. It's freedom for feeling. It's freedom for all of the parts that you have rejected about yourself. All of those are free from the tyrant who has been saying, if only I could get rid of that shit, then I'd be okay. And all of that, what you've called shit, has just been waiting for you to fuck off. It hasn't really. Couldn't care less. It's never even noticed you because you're non-existent. It's not the body that's non-existent, it's me.
There's been a little bit of debate on YouTube about that. So there was an answer there by Lottie Chavez, who said, who would deny a body? There's no one inside the body to deny a body. Have you ever found anyone inside that body? Directed to Alex, the previous questioner. I can't find anyone in this body here. It seems just to be a thought. Yeah.
You know, if it was just what's her name? Was it
Lottie? Laurie.
Laurie. Laurie, if self, the sense of being me, if it was just a thought, then you could go to your nearest CBT therapist and do some work on managing your thoughts and rid yourself of yourself. You know, and then CBT would be the new form of enlightenment. But unfortunately, you know, feeling like me, that I am, feeling I am, is not just a thought. It's so much more than that. I mean, the illusion is so utterly convincing. If it was a thought, it would never be. It's not even, you know, you could say, okay, it's a belief then, but it's much more than that. It's a bodily felt sense of being inside, of feeling I am. I mean, there are many flavors of that, but that essence, that bodily felt sense of being me, that's what we're talking about. That's the illusion. It's illusory. God is convincing though. I mean, it's an entirely convincing illusion. If only it were just a thought self. I'd be all in favor of doing some thought control techniques, but it's not, is it? You know, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to profess to know what self is, but I do know here it was felt, you know, that is my little toe. There is no aspect of the body that is not mine, even the parts I've rejected. That's just my take on it.
There was Alex came back to Laurie, who you were commenting on now, and he said there shouldn't be anybody inside the body. We are dealing with something called consciousness. The contraction in the body triggers the thinking process automatically. That's how the illusion appears.
Wow. That's a lot more than I know. It really doesn't matter. All the hows and whys, This message has nothing to say about them. It's not, there is no interest. What we're actually speaking about is the complete falling away of any interest in why or how. And in a way that's quite a loss. I mean, I can't read. I bought a book last week. I was with my friend and we went to a bookshop and I bought a book. It's the first book I've bought in 3 years. And I picked it up 3 times. I can't get past the first page. That's how the lack of interest in gaining knowledge is, it can feel, I'm sort of getting used to it, but it was really overwhelming, that emptiness, that it's like, well, there is absolutely no point in learning anything. And there was a loss. I kind of grieved for it, but boy, is it a relief. It's a massive relief. I think a lot of the piece is that.
Tim, earlier we were struggling with making sense of that expression in the script. And Johannes made a good suggestion. He thought that maybe in the script could be destiny. So he puts it into the form of a question. Is there destiny all playing out by itself?
No. Destiny is the most personal idea you could ever have, isn't it? My destiny, your destiny. A destiny is totally time bound as an idea. It's just, I mean, it's a lovely fairy story, like most stories are, you know, fate and destiny. This is much, I mean, destiny is, it sort of touches on, oh, it could only be as it is. It touches on that, but then it's all time bound, isn't it? There's no destiny without time. And there isn't any time. You know, this was destined to happen. All lovely ideas. Don't get me wrong, you can still play with those ideas. They're just seen for what they are. But it's no different to reading Cinderella or Hansel and Gretel. And you might like reading fairy stories. I don't. Again, life would be laughing at all our stories, all our really very pathetic attempts. You can't hear her, but if you listen really carefully, you might, oh, I've called life her there, personified life. Yeah, you can hear her silently laughing. No, there is, I mean, the whole idea of destiny just needs time, and there's no time. This is timeless, with time appearing.
Tim, we have a question on Zoom from Johannes, who's raised his hand. So Johannes,
Oh, I know Johannes.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
I mean, destiny in form of completely unpersonal, more or less. Everything playing out by itself, in time and space, whatever, and nobody do that, more or less. So it's not a personal destiny. It's everything. It's conditioned by itself and playing out by itself.
Yeah.
That I meant by destiny.
Is that how you understand it?
I read something about destiny, that everything playing out by itself, more or less. Nobody could do anything about it.
Yeah.
And if identification with the person happen, it's destiny, and when it falls away, it's destiny. Nobody can do anything about it. It's more or less pre-programmed as this playing out.
This is much wilder than that, Johannes. You know,
Okay.
there's no program. There's no programming. I don't know. Johannes, I mean, this whatever story, you know, stories are just stories. And I have to say, don't hold on to these words or anyone else's words as though this is the correct story. This is no more correct than anything else. There is absolutely no way of getting this.
Yeah.
That's the whole message. That's all I ever want to say. I mean, forget it. Don't make anyone special. No one knows any more about life than anyone else. How wonderful is that? This is the death of all experts. Now, there are experts in fields of study, yeah, of fields of knowledge. This is not speaking. We're not speaking of knowledge here. We're speaking of not knowing. There are no experts on not knowing. There's nothing to know. You don't get more knowledge about not knowing. There is no greater not knowing. There's no depth to it. It's not a deepening of not knowing. There's just, I mean, emptiness, because with the not knowing, these words, emptiness, nothing, you can't get more nothing than nothing. You know, there isn't a, okay, so he's got nothing, but she's got a much more nothing than he has. And he's empty, but that guy over there, now he's really empty. Well, there's no more empty than empty. Empty is empty. Nothing is nothing. And they are just words, just pointing at the actual nature of life. I mean, you could say the essence of life, but that's saying too much because it sounds as though like that's a source. It's not. Everything is nothing as well as it being what it is. It's just not knowable.
Okay, thank you.
It's not worth anything, Johannes. That's the wonderful thing about this method. I mean, the real beauty of it is it isn't worth anything. It's worthless. All its value, all of the value of this message is in its utter worthlessness. It is not giving a single thing. It has nothing to give. And believe it or not, that's the gift. That's what wants to be given. All the motivation to talk about this is because it can't be given. It already is. This is already complete and whole. There is no more.
Yeah, because I had an idea to trace it back somehow. To get to a kind of source of stuff like that. But that's also the idea.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah, I always wanted to know God.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Not really.
Didn't
yeah,
you?
but kind of looking for a kind of source or like a.
Yeah, I mean, the most common word for source is God.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what most human beings call source.
Yeah.
The beginning and the end, the alpha and the omega. That's you know, so whatever so you can say consciousness or awareness or God or nature or however else you want to.
It's all the same story.
Fantasize about a source. This is sourceless. This isn't coming. Okay. This doesn't come from somewhere and go somewhere else. This is all. This is completely unmoving. It can't have a source. It's not come from anywhere else. The whole nature of source is just, again, it's all time bound. We just need to tell those stories, and then we feel, you know, self feels a little bit more comfortable. And there's something about this message that wants to make self incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because self is always comfortable in, you know, in my knowledge. You know, as though there's discomfort is not a problem, but it is for me.
Yeah, yeah, right. Definitely.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Aaron.
Tim.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Tim, there's a comment here by Earl Gibbs on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Machines are the apparent output of civilization's addiction to perpetual progress, consumption, and the belief in the illusory sense of self being real and needy.
Yeah, good, Earl. Yeah, good, Earl. But you're not having my phone. I need that. I hate the bloody machines, but yeah, take my phone away now and I'm going to scream and scream. But yeah, this is what we're doing now. I mean, this is in the story. This is the pinnacle of my progress. This is where we've come to. And it is wonderful.
Bikash Guverts has a question for you, Tim.
Bikash,
Tim,
yeah.
don't you want to learn new golf tricks?
Oh, Bikash, you know me too well. You've been listening to me too much. Yeah, you caught me out, Bikash. Yes, of course I do. Oh, okay. Yeah. Did I say that I didn't want to learn anything? Yeah, I want to learn. I want to improve my swing. Yeah, of course I do. But it does. But yeah, and learning is fun. Yeah. But I have to say, I've always liked physical learning. Hence, I became a PE teacher. I've always liked physical skill. So it's less about knowledge, more about physically becoming more adept. I've always liked that.
Tim, there's a comment on YouTube from Spiritual Psychotherapy Services. It says, it is a demonstrable scientific fact that every motion and action which occurs in the phenomenal universe was entirely determined by every preceding action, all the way back to the Big Bang event.
Yeah. Well, if I'm going with the story, I'll go with that, yeah. Why not? All I'd suggest is, because I come from a scientific background, so yeah, I mean, I'm not disputing any of that. They're the stories that I would, if I got into some, you know, if I was debating with creationist Christians, the origins of the universe, then yeah, that's the line I would take, for sure. But the beauty of this is saying, it really, does that matter? I would take it a little step, a bit further with the same analogy and say this, if we're going to talk about the Big Bang, then this is the Big Bang. This is the only happening. So this is, I don't know, but I'm gonna push the boat out here and say there wasn't a beginning. There isn't a beginning. So the Big Bang as a theory of beginning, yeah, well, that's the best bet. That's the best science has come up with so far. But there isn't a beginning. This is the beginning. And this is the end. And this is the middle. And this is 3/4 of the way through. This is all. So if you want to, you could say Big Bang Theory could still apply, and this is the Big Bang. This is like, whoa, here it is, bang.
There's a question from Anne here. It says, hi, Tim. Why do positive thoughts feel better than negative thoughts? Is it the law of attraction real?
No, the law of attraction is another lovely fairy story, isn't it? Which I love, you know, bloody hell. I had some of those on my self-help bookshelf. I had quite a few. The Secret, Law of Attraction, loads of affirmations. If I say it enough, it will come true. I mean, talk about, I mean, isn't that funny? It's the sort of thing you would say to your 6-year-old child, isn't it? Say it before you go to sleep. I want you to say 100, no, 1,000 times, and then tomorrow it will come true. And of course, a 6-year-old child would go, well, the adults told me that's what will happen. That is what will happen. Fucking hell. I mean, it is unbelievably childish. Sorry, that's what I think about that. No, of course there isn't. And yet, okay. And yet, it can appear that way. Yeah. But you know, how many, okay, so here we have the law of attraction. So you fantasize, and all you've ever thought about is finding your one true love. This is a good example. The one who will complete you, your other half, you know, the yin to your yang, that sort of shit. And that's all you've done. You've done it for 30 years. Well, surprise, surprise, she hasn't turned up yet. And then, the next, and so you railed against it. You burnt all your books, all your law of attraction, all of that shit. You had a great body, you burnt a lot of them. Next morning, you woke up, and the neighbor from 3 doors down came and complained about your bonfire because it was affected, you know, her child had asthma. And she came round, and she was the one. I mean, what I mean is it's completely unknowable, random. And the illusion that you can control, it's just a more fantastic way that self can delude itself, that it's in control of life, that it's managing its life. I have to say, there is nothing wrong with it. It might sound like I'm, you know, because I've mocked it, that I'm somehow against it. I'm not at all. Because again, it's all inevitable. If bloody hell, those books sell well, don't they? You know, they're right up there with bestsellers. Well, of course they are, because they're offering self exactly what it wants to hear. You can get exactly what you want. I remember getting the book, What Women Want. That'll help. That'll be the one. I'll know the secret. Do you know, they don't all want the same thing. It's not like the book told me. There we go. Thanks, John.
Yep. Tim, do you remember earlier we had a question from Herman Sawyer, which said, about how does a person become a member of nothing, and we were wondering whether that was a question about nothing FM. He's written, it's not a technical question. The point is that humans are stuck with the only instrument that has no value regarding this.
Well, there's great. Sorry, what is it? Is it a guy? Who is it?
Yeah, Herman.
Herman. Well, there's great news, Herman. You're not stuck with it. That's it. You're not stuck with that. There's no one stuck with anything. That's why, you know, this message is often called liberation or freedom. There is no one who's stuck with anything. Nor is there anyone who could escape, which, by the way, is exactly the same as the stuck. The desire to free myself from the stuckness is the same energy. There is no escape. There's no one in prison. There's no one stuck. You can't get free. There's no one to be freed. So this isn't what you're looking for, because I'm guessing most people who listen to this want to be free. There's no one to be free. That's the freedom. That's the love. That's the peace. God, it's all going off here.
There's a question from Kayul 63. It says, how can there be no good?
Sorry, did Kyle give his age?
Well, 63 maybe, or maybe
that's
his
what
height.
you meant. I thought it was, John, it was like one of those, you know, like a children's program when, and Nigel's written in, age 7.
Okay, well, maybe Kayul is 63. It's difficult to tell. But his question is, how can there be no good or bad? Child abuse is bad, for example.
Yeah. No, there is, of course, there is relatively good and bad, Kyle. Yeah, of course. But remember, I mean, this good and bad is always subjective. One man's good is another man's bad. One self's good is another self's bad. One religion's right is another religion's evil. And that conviction that there is an absolute right and wrong, an absolute morality, an absolute ethic, that there is an essential ethic to life, that life cares about right and wrong. No, human beings care about right and wrong. This doesn't have anything to say about what's right and wrong. This message doesn't have anything to say about it, other than it is exactly as each human being has conditioned to believe what is right and wrong. That's not yours. It is the human being's conditioning. And of course, there are things that we almost all human beings agree universally are wrong, like child abuse. This isn't saying that that is right. It's saying it's essentially it's not yours or mine. Though that righteousness or that sense of what's right and wrong is not owned by anyone. It's not yours or mine. And by the way, it remains exactly the same, but without the weight or conviction that I know best. You know, the problem with self and right and wrong is that I take them because they are my beliefs and I hold them so dear to myself that they're a matter of life and death. And so, of course, I'm willing to kill for them. I'm willing to fight for them. And if you look at violence throughout the world, it's pretty much that is it. But this message does get attacked as being amoral, which essentially it is. But what it's saying is that each human being is naturally moral as it is. It's just not your morality. Like everything else that you claimed, it was never yours. And without it being yours, it's much easier. You just naturally go, no, I think that's wrong. And it doesn't, you're not going to go, you're not going to dictate that to other human beings and say that I'm right and you're wrong. Because essentially it's very obvious that there is no absolute right and wrong. Ethics are always relative. I mean, the most simple example is there aren't many parents who wouldn't kill for their, they don't advocate murder, but if you attack their children, they're very likely to kill you. I mean, that's the most simple, obvious example of you can have the highest morals of, all murderers should be executed. And then you find yourself in a situation where you're the murderer. Maybe. It's just that it's all relative.
There's a question here, Tim. Sorry.
I think we'll just go 10 more minutes if that's all right, John.
Yeah, sure. There's a question here from Asher.
Okay.
And it says, non-duality is frustratingly, bafflingly, absurdly ineffable. To the human mind, it is purposeless. So why present it when it cannot be articulated? What's the point of selling it to people?
Yeah. Oh, you got a very fair point there.
Sorry.
As strange as it may sound, the point is compassion. And the point is love. Now, whether that point is seen or felt, it may well not be, but that is the point. I listen to Tony Parsons a lot. You probably knew that already. And Tony would always frustrate me with his phrase. He would, nearly every meeting, he would say, this is the only compassion. This is the only compassion. And I go, what the fuck is he on about? I couldn't get to grips with it. No, because it doesn't sound compassionate, because it is saying that life is essentially pointless and meaningless. But the thing about the absence of meaning, and by meaningless, he means it doesn't have, that this doesn't essentially have any meaning. It has whatever meaning you bring to it. That's all. There is no absolute meaning. There is no absolute purpose. And it sounds paradoxical again, like everything about this, but the absence of meaning isn't really meaningless, because when meaning goes, meaningless becomes meaningless. Meaning is meaningless, and meaningless is meaningless. When life doesn't have a point, because you were the point, I am is the point, is the center. When there is no point, like it sounds as though, well, without me, I'm the point, I'm the center. Without me, life would be pointless. Well, without a point, there is no pointless. Because pointless depends on there being a point. No. So they both equally, it's like all of these opposites just fall into each other and then they don't matter. And that's what we're talking about, really. So it doesn't matter whether it matters or not. So I'm not saying that there aren't things that matter here. There are. Probably as intensely, if not more intensely, than before I really felt sure they were my things that mattered. Probably more intensely, more passionately to some extent. And yet it doesn't matter whether they matter or not. I mean, that is an amazing freedom. So does that matter? Yeah, yeah, that really does matter. But it doesn't matter that it matters. Because it might sound like, well, it was me that they mattered to. Well, again, it's another lie told by self. Things matter to me. Without me, nothing will matter. Well, no, naturally, human beings have things that matter. Their friends, their families, the ones they love, the others they love. There are still the appearance of others. And the love is much more open and free because it's not about me. And let's face it, when life feels like it's my life, it's all about me. That's why it's shit a lot of the time. Because it has all of that weight. It's serious business, me and my life. And life is just, is light, even when it's heavy. But we're not talking about the absence of, you know, the emotions that you've wanted not to feel. Life is felt full on. Life unfiltered. What I do to keep myself safe, what self does is filter life. Reject the bits it doesn't like, turns away from the aspects of life, lives in fantasies. Doesn't want to see the gore, the blood, the violence. Well, whether you turn away or not, there it is. And the suffering is living a lie. And the lie is that I can make life how I think it should be. And the greatest lie of all is there is a way that life should be. There is no way life should be. Life is always simply as it is, regardless of what you say. Well, thanks for coming, everybody.
Sorry, there is just one last question. I think it's simple to answer, and I'm sure you would like to be asked it.
Okay.
From Rob Hearn. He said, Tim,
Rob, yeah.
Any plans for meetings in London coming up?
Well, I'm glad. Thanks for that, John, because I'd forgotten. Yeah, I'll give so I'm doing an online weekend. Now, I did plan initially that I would do a live talk, real talk in London in July. And I booked the room and I had it all ready. And then with the situation in the UK as it is, it's all so unknown that I've decided to postpone that and do it a bit later when there can be a bit more certainty that it will go ahead. So instead, we're doing on the same date, 24th and 25th of July, I'm doing an online weekend, which if you go to Tim Cliss this, or Deafening Silence, timclissthis.com, and all the information's for the weekend summer online retreat is what we've called it, because that's what it is. Yeah, so if you go to the website and you can see all the details, and yeah, it'd be great if you'd like to come. Thanks very much to John for hosting, and thanks for being patient at the beginning with my poor technical equipment. I would say my inadequacy, but I'm just going to blame the computer. But yeah, it's been a pleasure as always. Thanks very much, and you're all welcome. I'm doing my weekly talk tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK time. Everyone's welcome to that, and that's free and by donation if you'd like to give a donation. 7 p.m. tomorrow. So thanks very much for coming, and yeah, there is no point, but it's not pointless. It's incredible, isn't it? It's just everything is a complete wonder. Everything, without exception. That's the wonder. There are absolutely no exceptions. You know, the most dreadful, the worst shit is a wonder, as well as the most beautiful things, the most, you know, the most gorgeous, the most lovely. It's all wonderful. And by wonderful, I mean, you just don't know. The thing that kills wonder is the pretense that you know what's going on and you know what things are. It might just be obvious. You know, I'm not giving you homework, but here's some. Just stop a bit. Just pause a while. Take a look. Take a listen. And here it is. You're not missing it. It can't be missed. But in the pausing, in the stopping, I can't believe I'm giving homework. just a bit of space to notice. It is whether it's noticed or not. Makes not a shit of difference. But the joy and the beauty is in the noticing. No one needs to notice, but here it is. Right, thanks a lot. I can't believe I've done another little rounding off of my sermon. I feel more and more like a vicar each week. I was thinking when I put this on, if I buttoned it up and I put a black jumper on, and I look like a vicar. Thanks very much, John.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Pleasure. Hopefully, yeah, maybe you can do it again.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, it was really good. Thank you, John. I really appreciate it. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Tim. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. Bye. See you tomorrow.
Hey. Nice.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.